Hello, my name is Helen Rainey. I'm the founder of Helen's Kitchen Cooking School, and today we're going to test fish for doneness. If you have been traumatized by unsuccessful fish cooking attempts, let me just say that it's not you, it's lousy recipes that tell you to cook fish until it flakes and is opaque. Now here's the deal, if the fish is opaque right off the heat, then congratulations, you have just overcooked your fish. Now that we know what doesn't work, let's talk about what does. Before you start cooking any piece of fish, you need to measure its thickness. The estimated cooking time for fish fillets and steaks is going to be 8 minutes per inch of thickness, plus or minus 2. We're going to bump up this estimate to 10 minutes per inch of thickness, plus or minus 2, for whole fish cooked on the bone, since bones are bad heat conductors and slow down the cooking process. Does it matter if you're cooking salmon, swordfish, bluefish, or halibut? Does it matter if you're grilling, broiling, poaching, or pan-searing? Does it matter if you're cooking individual portions or a huge fillet? For all practical purposes, the answer is no. That's what plus or minus 2 is for, to take these small differences into account. Are we ready to cook yet? Not quite. How accurately did you measure that fish? You see, if you're off by as little as half an inch, you might as well toss that estimated cooking time out the window. By the time you check your fish, it might be overcooked. Here is an easy way to measure your fish accurately without dirtying your ruler. Measure your index finger up to the first line and use that to measure your fish. My index finger is 7/8 of an inch tipped to the first line, so this little fillet is just over 1 inch. Make sure you're measuring the thickest part of the fillet, because we want to make sure all of your fish is done, not just the thin parts. I expect this fillet to be done in roughly 9 minutes, but I'll check at 7. If it's not done, I can always cook it longer. Now we're ready to cook. See you in 7 minutes. My salmon friend and I are back. Let's see what we've got. Here's a fish checking device you probably already have at home. You dig it in along the flakes in the thickest part of your fillet and take a peek at the center. Be assertive. The first 10 times you cook fish, break it completely apart. It's better to eat broken fish than dry fish. So here we go. My flakes separated, but I felt just a bit of resistance in the center when I was pulling, and the inside of the fish is still translucent. This is when your fish is done. I know what most of you are thinking. Wait, but I don't like that. I'm a well-done fish person. I don't do this slimy, undercooked sushi stuff. Yes, but you're not eating that fish yet, are you? If you are, can you please put down the fork and wait for 5 minutes? Something very important is happening during this 5 minutes, and it cannot be skipped. The fish is continuing to cook. This is called residual heat, and it happens with everything from turkeys to cookies to fish. When you take the fillet off the heat, the outside is hotter than you want and the inside is colder than you want. Eventually it all comes to equilibrium, which is a perfect time to serve your fish. Plan on resting your fish for 5 minutes per inch of thickness. If you broke your fish apart to test for doneness, make sure to put it back together before letting it rest. If necessary, prop it with a piece of foil to keep it together. Here is what our salmon looks like 5 minutes after we took it off the heat. Still very juicy, but no longer translucent. It might help you to see what underdone fish looks like, to know when to cook it longer if you want to eat it well done. You see, this fillet doesn't want to yield in the center to my assertive pulling. Make sure that you are not too close to the edge, or this will happen. You'll think it's done just right when its center is completely raw. Now let's see what different fish varieties look like at the point when they should be taken off the heat. Here is bluefish, just off the heat with that slightly translucent center. And the same piece 5 minutes later after resting. Here is swordfish, just off the heat. Dense fish like swordfish, marlin, tuna and shark don't flake no matter how cooked they are. You have to cut into them to see the inside. I will cut this one in half completely so that you can see what I see. We want about 25 to 30% of the fish to still be translucent. And here's the same piece 5 minutes later. Now that we have fish doneness all figured out, let's talk about a few special cases. In some cases, you might want to intentionally undercook your fish. For example, I like salmon still translucent inside. I mean at the time of eating, not just when I take it off the heat. And I like my tuna completely raw inside. To achieve that on salmon, I start testing for doneness at 4 minutes per inch of thickness, and I take it off the heat when I can pry the flakes apart most of the way, but not all the way to the center. For tuna, I just sear or grill until deep brown, about 2 minutes per side. Is that safe? Well, it's safer than downhill skiing. If your fish is perfectly fresh, eating rare tuna is no more dangerous than eating tuna out of a can. But for salmon, particularly wild salmon, there is a parasite issue even if the fish is perfectly fresh. But everybody chooses their risks in life. I choose to eat raw fish and you might choose downhill skiing. Another special case in terms of timing is cooking fish with stuff underneath, like sliced potatoes or some other vegetable, or cooking fish at a very low oven temperature of about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. In both cases, the fish will cook much longer than 8 minutes per inch of thickness. But that's okay. You'll take a look at it at the usual time and it will look completely raw on top. In that case, don't even bother checking the inside and pop it back in the oven. That's all there is to know about fish doneness. Now go get yourself some fish and practice, practice, practice. From Helen's Kitchen in Boston, happy cooking and baking to you.